to men.
So, we were mentioning, do we think it's fulfilling? But now my question is, do you think that it's easier for a man to lead a life without having children than a woman is? Because, like I mentioned, we were physically created and the possibility to have children. Do you think it's easier for a man because they don't have, I don't want to be crude, but like I could have relationships with just anyone and I know that I'm physically never going to get pregnant. Whereas a woman, it's like that is something to consider every time you participate in that act. And so could a man lead a life more fulfilling if they didn't have children? Do you guys think?
More fulfilling?
Like, obviously we were talking about how women, like, to sell that message to women that they could lead a fulfilling life
that a
without
guy
children. Do you think it's easier or even more believable
for a man?
For a man. Because they physically can't have children.
Yes, I do.
I think so.
I think so.
I think so, and I think it's because as a man, you already kind of are already faced with that idea of grind and go and don't let things hold you back. And if they start to think that a family would hold them back, which, I mean, to an extent, it can. It slows things down. If you're headed a certain way and all of a sudden you have a family and a kid and this and that, and you're just like, okay, like I have to be a responsible leader to my family and kind of take the pedal off this to deal with this. If you don't have anything stopping you, you can just fly. I do think that. Do I think it's a bad thing? I think if you don't have anything holding you back and you're not thriving, that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think you probably get to a point though, like if that person didn't have any relationships or anything and got to that point where he was on top, he has everything to provide but no one to provide to.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that too.
So then he'd seek that next step of building a family.
I think that's just being responsible.
But
I mean, not necessarily reaching the top, but getting yourself. I think as a man, you should be working to get yourself in a position to where when that happens, you are able to be a responsible leader for your household and provider and all that.
Right.
I think Jordan Peterson mentions it in one of his conferences. He's talking about how men have the option of having children whenever they want, in a sense, because they can have children much later in their lives, whereas women have a small window to have children. And so in a sense, it's like we approach having children in a different way because you guys have the opportunity to get a more successful life, a more affluent life, and then you're like, all right, I'm 45 and you know what, I can still have a kid. Whereas women who are like, I'm gonna pursue my career and do everything, now you're 40 and it's like, oh shoot, like if I'm gonna have a kid right now, I'm asking for complications. Like it's that much harder
physically wise.
So I think that that's part of it as well, why even a man, even if like he's like, I'm not gonna have kids, if he, let's say, grows up or he tends to have a different perspective later on in his life, he can actually achieve it.
He can do
Whereas
that.
a woman, it's like if you have a different perspective later, it's not as easy,
I was listening to Jordan Peterson on the way here. I love Jordan.
We love Jordan Peterson.
But I mean, I can't say I disagree, and I can't even say that it's a bad thing. I just think it's like a thing of nature.
Yeah.
I think the bad comes when I can only speak for a man. Like I said, when you just waste your time. You just waste your time, and you think. I mean, there is time. I guess as a man, you can afford to waste time, whereas a woman you can't.
Right.
Because of that.
It's like being irresponsible with the time that you're taking not to be
in your preparation stage that you're supposed to be preparing. But I mean, I don't know. Like it's an interesting thing to think about because it's kind of it's true because like guys don't have to deal with that consequence that women do, and so women just naturally have to be more conscious of that and make choices with that in mind at a very young age, much more younger than men. But I do think that's also a reason why women mature a lot faster than men, because
Yeah.
guys aren't growing up even in their early 20s not thinking about that. Like women are immediately like, okay, like they just, I feel like naturally they have this not a timer, but this idea of like an agenda of like certain milestones they want to hit
Yeah.
at what certain age, and not all guys do. And I don't even think don't even think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what
That's
it
how
is.
you guys are
kind of
wired.
thing.
But I think eventually
They get there.
it clicks,
Of-
and
yeah.
then they go into like overdrive where it's like, I need to catch up.
Like I had a moment actually where we talked about this on the on Joel's podcast, and I said there was definitely a day, and I can't remember the time and when, but I can remember I had the thought that the life that I'm living today and the person I am up to this point, would that be someone that my future children would be proud of if they met me today? And would I be someone who could raise them? And I was like, it was like a smack in the face where it was like, no, like I need to switch up, and like that switch flipped.
Mm-hmm.
And just that alone, that idea of like settling in, and, you know, wherever that seed was planted, it finally, like, you know, the fruit started coming out, and I'm like, oh shoot, like I got to, you know, do things differently. And
Double
so
time.
since then, yeah, and obviously, like, you know, just things change and all that, but I think women hit that a lot sooner.
For sure. No,
Look like you're over here like, I'm trying to have my third child already.
I should be on my third child already. I think, yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. If I were to have a child right now, I would be a terrific mom. No. I think we do desire it more earlier than men do, and that's just because biologically we need to have it earlier than probably men do. So yes, definitely, I think for us is I think you said it at the beginning. It's not so much of who desire it more. It's about how we approach it,
Yeah.
and the way we approach it makes it seem like women desire it more. But the reality is that we both were created to desire a family. Men and women, we are both created to have that is yours, that
Yeah.
you are provided to, you are a motherly figure to. So I think one of my favorite books is The Art of Loving by Eric Fromm. Read it. And in there it talks about how men have they have conditional love.
Yeah.
And their love is conditional. You know, I love you if you do this. And unfortunately, sometimes even with their own kids, you know, it's a matter of conditions, and that's not bad. You know, that it's not bad. It's God. If you notice in the first part of the Bible, His love is sort of conditional.
Yeah.
You know, His love with towards Israel.
10 Commandments.
Towards his people, it's conditional. And versus women, our love is unconditional, and it's unconditional. The downside of our love is that you either have it or you don't. The good side of a man is that because it's conditional, you can grow it, you can develop it. So because of that, I think is why men need to have all these conditions in order to be like, I'm ready to be a father. And I can be a provider, and I can fulfill, and I can do this. And because of that because of our unconditional love, as I think
Have it.
we need to, like, I want it right now. I want to feel that unconditional bond with someone. I want to know what it is to
And just,
to
I
just,
love you
know,
automatically.
Yeah, like as soon as I feel you, it's just okay, you know.
I think that's true, but it's also the time that we live in right now that if you think about it, going down to the fundamentals of a man's role is to provide food, shelter, and protection. Right now, in the time that we live in, food is currently at the most expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Buying a house is almost impossible
Yeah.
for some people right now. And the protection, we're talking about like not only influences to children, but also the dangers outside that fear that we were talking about earlier. So that protection that not that you can't provide. So that's why I think it does take longer. I mean, even in California, it takes 2 incomes just to survive.
Right.
So imagine that it makes it just a little bit harder to get to that point where, okay, yeah, we checked all the boxes, have a deal.
That is true. That is true because, and for example, in our parents' age, people were getting married at 16, 17, and they were ready. They were ready to like, this is the next step in life. And
they didn't have just one kid.
Yeah.
They had 6, 8 kids.
Yes. So, yeah, I think now for some reason, I think we've made things more complicated, and it doesn't help that you have, buying a house is expensive. Buying groceries is expensive. So I think, yes, definitely.
I mean, I think it's a responsible decision, like what age you get married and when you decide to have kids. I think back then it was just, this is how things are done and this is what's expected. And then people got a little wise and said, why are we putting ourselves through so much like hardships and making it the struggle worse? Like, we're gonna do this responsibly, which I think is smart,
Right?
especially right now with we
We're
live in
definitely
California.
on that side.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's been like a detriment. I wouldn't say.
We also
like,
see like from our parents. I mean, they struggled. At least not like fully, but like we saw them struggle raising us.
Yeah.
So in the process, they want us to do better than they had,
Right.
and what they had to go through. So they try to teach you the same thing, where it's like, get to this point because I started it here and I had to struggle through all this. But if you can start here, you won't have to struggle through all that.
Yeah.
And my parents were different. Like my mom, she's always like, "Oh, when are you gonna have a baby? Why haven't you had a baby already?"
That's crazy.
And I'll explain. And it's not just my mom. It's like people from church. It's tias. Everyone like, "Why don't you have a baby?" So
Bro.
I remember having a conversation with her, and she was just like, "Yeah, but like, you guys have a house. You guys have jobs. Like, you guys can make it happen, And I was like, "Yeah, I do believe like, and we've talked about this. Like, we're not actively trying to have a child, but if that were to happen, we would be obviously overjoyed. We're gonna face it, right?
Of course.
But we're not actively wanting it right now. And so when I shared that with my mom, she was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like,
They don't-
hija, like you guys could like acuérdate de nosotros. Remember us? Like, we grew up. We barely had anything. And I remember like trying to reason with her, and I was like, Mom, you have to understand. You're seeing my situation through your eyes right now, where you've seen all your life and you've seen all that, like all the positive, and like your children, your grandchildren, like of course, like from your perspective, you're going to see it as, I want you to have children now because I know the benefit of it. But try to get my perspective.
Yeah.
Really remember how things were,
How hard it was.
when we were kids." And she got really serious. She got really emotional, and she was like, sometimes we didn't have anything to feed you guys. Like we were on food stamps, we were in the projects, we, like it was hard. Now, I had a very happy childhood, and I don't regret it whatsoever. I think my parents did everything that they could. But when she started to remember and she started to really think like, yeah, it was hard. But then I agree with her. She's like, but God saw us through. And do you understand that even despite of the fact, yeah, maybe I didn't make all the best choices, maybe we couldn't provide everything, but God was faithful. God is always going to be there for you. And on that end, she did get me. I was just like, you're right. You're
True.
right. If I do have a
Like, you're
child,
putting your
God's
trust-
got me. Yes, God's going to be faithful. But because I knew of that struggle, I do want to be intentional about bringing a life into this world, because not that I want them to have a silver spoon in their mouth, but I do want to feel like I can, more than anything, my desire is I want to be at home with them. And right now, that's not something that we can really provide. And so it's just something we're working on. And so later on, she was able to kind of like, okay, I see your perspective. I get it. But from her end, because again, she saw it from like this end.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't get it. Like, how do you not want
My-
a
No,
child?
I see
My mom
both
is the
sides.
opposite. My mom is like, dude, it's so difficult. Why do you want to do that? Like, I mean, she doesn't discourage me from obviously wanting to marry and having children, but for her is like, why do you want to run?
Yeah.
Why do you want to run? You know, don't run. You'll get there eventually, and you'll have
Yeah.
hardships eventually. Don't desire that like it's nothing. Like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, oh my God, I want to feel the butterflies and I want to feel a kid, and
Yeah.
just because, you know, she's like,
Yeah.
no, you know, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard, and don't rush into it.
It's
just
more than a maternity
Yeah,
shoot.
yeah,
It's not
exactly.
just that.
Something that
That's a good way
we
to
see a lot too is the whole homeschooling and like private schools. That in itself, it's one of the biggest things right now where it's like we've never thought about that more than ever.
right.
Where it's like I don't like before I was okay with the idea of my kids going to public school, but now it's like
Now it's like, wait.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them either go to like Oaks Christian or homeschool. And both
Yeah.
of those are luxuries
Yeah.
that I cannot afford right now,
Mhm.
but I can build towards.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one of the
Work
things
towards
where it's like, I mean, we were even looking at like, how much was it to go to like a semester or no, a year at Oaks Christian was like
I think it was like 75 grand.
75 grand.
Don't
A
quote me.
Something like
semester?
that. No, a year.
No, a year.
You
A year?
double check.
Yeah, you guys
you
double
guys,
check
you
it.
guys verify, but
It was definitely
expensive.
Yeah. It's like, it was like tuition like for a university.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
So that's just, I mean, yeah, our values, our ideals are right there, not the public school or homeschool, but that means one less income
Yeah, exactly. In California.
in California, which is
And you're
not-
talking in 5 years worth of inflation or whatever.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
using a
So it's yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I understand what your mom is saying though. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's good when she was like, where's your basically
Where's your
your
faith?
where's your faith? Where's your trust? Are you putting your trust in your own ability, or are you putting your trust in something that is
In God.
very real?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
yeah.
something that is very real. But like, I don't know. I think like when couples get married, they should 100% take the time that they want to, not only to like get things together for a family, but to take the time to get to know each other and spend time alone with each other. Because guess what? Now you guys don't have to have a chaperone. So now y'all can do whatever you want. And if you have a baby now, there's your chaperone. So
There goes my 1 year plan. My 1 year plan is literally we'll court for what? 3 months?
I think I told you 3 months.
3 months.
Engaged for 3.
Engaged for 3. So those 6 months. Then
The rest
get
of the
get
years.
married in 6 months.
also
Right?
that's a year.
Yeah.
period.
And
Okay.
then
Échale ganas.
yeah, and then a kid, and I'll be
Right away?
pumping
9
out
months
kids.
after
that. Off the rip?
Yes,
That was
I'll be
the-
pumping out kids after that.
pumping out.
And then
Not
after
just one,
that,
it's just boom,
yeah,
boom, boom, boom.
boom, one after the other, and then cut it, and then
And then
close
cut it.
and then cut it, and then
Like,
close.
Triplets right away.
Yeah, and then close them. Close
What
the,
if you have
the
triplets?
Close
factory.
the factory.
Twins runs in
Those
her
are-
family. No.
Twins run in my family.
Right. You,
So,
shoot.
God, please.
You want twins?
Hey, the faster I can get more kids, the better.
How many
And
do you
then-
want?
And then I'll just, just close the factory, and then
No, this
If-
is actually a great segue because it's like, does being single or married give you a different perspective on wanting to have children? Like, since you're single, do you want it just as much, or like,
feel
do
the
you think
only-
that since we're married and it's more tangible for us, it's very different?
I think the only difference between, I can speak for myself, like whether having a child now or when I'm married, would be the experience of like going through that with like the person that I love,
Yeah.
That would probably be the only difference for me. But like the desire for it would be the same.
Yeah.
yeah.
I see it more of like, if you were single, it's like the idea of like, if I was rich, what would I do with the money? Versus
Once you're here.
if you're here, you're like, I'm almost there. Just give me like 2 more years. type of deal,
I think
it's like
for
you're
me-
almost to the finish line, so you just kind of wait a little
there.
bit longer.
Because I think because it is tangible for us, like obviously we're married and we're allowed, in a sense. I really think about it, and like there are days that I'm really really like I'm on baby fever
Baby
high,
fever
and I'm
like
just
crazy.
like
She's creating.
I want a baby,
She's creating.
And I have to lock
I'm
myself in the bathroom.
I'm already like, oh, dude, I already have like
Stay away from me.
I have like
You remember-
drafts.
have you seen I Am Legend, where he gets the dog and goes in the bathtub and closes the door? That's me with Stella over there. And then she's like,
No,
the door.
and mind you, she has a whole Pinterest page for
Don't
her
tell me
gender
this.
reveal,
I have gender reveal. I have a baby shower.
That's
like
normal.
and the
So-
baby ain't even here.
But like, see, like
That's
I there's
normal. Like
there's
at
days,
this point, it's normal.
and maybe it's
Right.
sometimes even attached to like hormones. Like there's just days that I'm just
Right.
like, I really want a baby, and then there are other days that I'm like,
oh, there's been days where she's just like,
Like,
Nope, not yet.
have kids.
and I'm like that, and I really think
Where
about
you
it.
see a kid and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No.
it's not mine.
No, I remember one time, like, I was just like, so, like, oh my gosh. And I was really serious. I was like, come on, babe. Like, we could have a baby. Like, come on. And he's just like, you do this all the time. Like, you have these, like, highs, and then you come off of it, and you're just like, I don't want to have kids. And I was like, no, I'm serious. I want to have a baby. And he's just like, babe, do you know how you get when you don't sleep? Like, you get so pissed off. Do you realize that having a baby, like, that goes out the window? Like, it changes.
Sleep for,
And as
for no
literally-
sleep for 2 years. Yeah.
He gave me a lot of points to like be reasonable and
That's
stuff.
good.
That one
The
was
sleep?
that one
The
was the
sleep
one
one
that
got
was like,
her the most.
no, because I get very like, oh, if
It's
I
bad.
can't sleep. And he's like, look, if you were, and he says like practically, he's like, if you were sober, like, and you want to have a conversation about this,
Yeah.
then like, all right, I'm down. Like, let's talk about it.
When
But
you're
right now
thinking
you're on a
reasonably.
high, and this isn't really you. Like, and sure enough, the next day I was like, yeah, no, like
There was
I'm not there
was
yet.
there was this moment
funny.
where I recorded her with a little kid, and I'm pretty sure you remember. And it was like ultimate, like, leave me alone, like, I don't want to play with you, like, get away from me, like. And the kid, the kid was like, I just want to play.
Show me that.
And she, oh yeah.
I felt terrible.
Can I say who it was?
Yeah, it's
It
my
was
niece.
Cammy.
She was literally like, she was on
She
top
was on
of
top
me.
of her.
Understandable.
She's trying to kiss me and she's trying to hug me, and I
And she's
literally
screaming,
was, I
like,
was
at the
tired.
top
I
of
was
her
like,
voice.
Cammy, go over there. And she literally got
She
on
gets on the
She's
floor and
just
she's like,
I just want to play. And I was like, oh man. I was like, all right, let's go play hide and seek. Like, let's go.
and I
was like-
recorded the entire thing. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna show you this every single
this is
time.
ammo.
This,
Like,
yeah,
you
this is
want a baby?
ammo. You want a baby? Boom. Tell it to Cammy.
You're gonna treat our children like that.
No, to answer
Because
that
she was
que-
on her phone like this, like, no, get away. I don't want to.
being irresponsible, going on memes. I just want to be on memes.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah,
It was
yeah.
hilarious.
But okay. To answer that question and sort of tie it with what you're saying, I personally have a very short fuse with kids.
You really want triplets.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I've made 2 children cry at
Oh,
church.
I made
the
Cammy
best
cry
thing.
the other day.
Well, but,
I've been that
she's
something.
I
but
wouldn't
she-
give her her chips.
Oh yeah.
but she's family. I made kids that aren't on my family cry. So it's like,
I wasn't trying to make her cry.
there you go. I was. So
You were.
She's
okay.
like, this is
You
my
okay?
goal.
You have to give context.
I
to the
wasn't. Okay,
story.
so
Did you beat him up or
no,
what?
not tampoco. They're not my kids, No, so
If they were,
They were. They'd get a
so
beating.
there was one kid at church that he was running around, and the ushers didn't really feel like
Telling them that
like telling him nothing, because it's very uncomfortable, to go tell a mom, hey, like, your kid's running around.
Yeah.
So what I did is I just took the kid and I'm like, hey, let's go to children's ministry. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. So on our way, he starts pulling back, like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm like, okay. We need
Already?
to go. We need to go. No, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I had to, it was just,
Wait,
he
wait.
was, he
She
was
smacked her.
pushing.
if you're about to incriminate yourself, don't say it.
No.
Or at least cut it.
No. So then I slept. No. I'm serious. No. So I grabbed.
Once I saw the blood,
That's when I
realized
knew.
I messed
That's when
up.
I knew I messed up. No. So I grabbed him by his little arms. I go to his eye level and I tell him, "You're gonna go to children's ministry. and you're going to stay there, and you're not going to cry, and you're not gonna go with mom. Okay. So he stood there, he stayed there for a while or whatever. And then obviously he's a kid that, he's hyperactive. He's, mom lets him do whatever he wants. So he ends up, punishing the teachers. And the teachers are like, we can't, like, he needs to go back with mom. He's crying, he's jumping, he's doing this and whatever. I'm like, okay, fine. So I take him and you're going to go back with mom, but you're not going to scream. You're not going to do anything. You're going to sit there and or else I'm going to bring you back. And I'm not going to give you back with mom. And he's like, okay.
Oh my God.
So I go back in the sanctuary and sorry, people. And I return him to mom. And, and for the first 5 seconds, he's just sitting there very quiet. And he starts, moving. Fidgeting, he starts moving. And he turns back and I'm in the back like this.
Oh my
goodness.
And I go like that and like. And he's like, and he adjusts himself and whatever. But eventually he'll end up doing the same thing. So I took him back. That's when I made him cry. I took him back and I'm like, this time you're really not going to go back. You're going to stay here and you're going to behave. And I expect you to behave good. I don't want to stay here. And I'm well, I'm not going. You're not going back with mom. You're staying here. And, eventually.
That's when Child Protective Services walked in.
Yeah. And
on the car ride to the to jail.
Downtown.
No.
But despite of that, kids listen to you.
But exactly. The kid listened to me. And I kid you not, every time he sees me, he goes like this. And he behaves.
Oh, that's good.
And he behaves. So, given that gives me hope that I'll be a good mom. That, I'll be able
disciplinarian,
yes,
for sure.
I'll be able to implement some.
Look, you were a lot more patient than my mom was. I'm going to say that. My mom didn't.
She beat you right there in the pew?
I'm not going to incriminate my mom on the podcast.
Just, pellizcas underneath. Just quiet. So, but anyway, so that's that, right? But as a single person, I feel like sometimes, yes, it's that whole like it's almost there, but not really. And then once you have it, it's like, what do I do? I don't like. Let's just take it. Let's just take it slow.
There's that meme where it's like, there's a guy that's like calling his mom, "Hey, I have your nephew. You can have him back now."
Right. So I do want it. I do want kids, despite maybe not liking them so much sometimes. But I
normal. That's normal.
Yeah, I think the
kids
fact
are not easy.
Yes, I think the fact that I'm aware that I don't like children.
Wait, what?
Already puts me in a good position, because that would mean that I'm not going to automatically like my kids, and I think that's okay.
You mean let them get away with stuff?
Exactly, because then I'll have more parameters to say no. I'm not going to let you behave in a way that is going to make me not like you.
Yeah.
Because if I don't like
That's
you,
what Jordan Peterson says.
yes,
don't raise children
Literally.
that you don't
won't
like. Yeah, because if I don't like you, I can't expect others to like you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you. Love and like is very different, and I think a lot of parents think they're the same thing, and they're different.
They want to be their kid's best friend.
Yes. And I don't think that's right. I'm 100% sure my mom does not like me a lot of the time, but she loves me. She doesn't like my behavior a lot of the times, but I know she loves me. She loves Lula.
We interrupt this podcast to say a brief announcement that we don't have kids yet, and so we don't know how they're going to turn out. So obviously right now we're saying that we're going to be disciplinarians, but who knows, because they always say, oh, it's really easy to judge like how another parent
That's why I keep saying like
their kids,
I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I'm just.
We're chilling.
I feel like for us though, we have like a perfect example with Stella, because I feel because think about it, I feel like I'm
that's your baby. I mean, that is.
I'm gonna be like that with
But we're
Stella.
not like those people that she's our baby.
No, I know, but we don't treat her. We don't treat her like a
No,
child.
we're not. Definitely not dog parents.
We're definitely not dog parents. But she knows when I'm look at her.
Stella?
That's fear.
I am more lenient with Stella, and
She
he's
is.
more like disciplinarian. So yes.
But she loves me more.
Which going back to my favorite book, The Art of Loving, it talks about how you need that in a marriage. You need someone that is going to be the disciplinarian and you need someone that's going to be lenient, which is why our love as women is unconditional and their love is conditional, because they have to be disciplinarian.
They prepare you.
They prepare you for the world. Versus a woman, our love is unconditional because you can still, like I said,
the art of
loving. Eric Fromm, and he's pretty much saying how you need that in a marriage to raise kids that are well balanced, because you need the conditions in life, because life is going to give you those conditions regardless. So you need a parent that's going to do that in a loving way, which is when mom comes in.
However, I do think there should be a balance. I don't think
definitely.
that I don't believe
balance,
in
baby.
Like, ahorita cuando llegue tu papá vas a ver.
No,
I don't think that's always healthy, because it's like then I'm going to live to fear dad, and I'm going to get away with things with mom. Like I do agree that the balance of there being a disciplinarian and a more, I guess, loving parent should be, like there, but it should come from both ends,
Yes.
But yes, in essence, he's more of a disciplinarian because of his way, and I'm more of unconditional. But there should still be switches of like, okay, today I can discipline you too, not just because dad's not here.
Yeah, no, yeah. What we don't want is to villainize dad, right? To the point where kids hear dad or they hear you say, "Oh, le voy a decir a tu papá." It's like, no, because a lot of the times what happens is that dads go out and work. They don't know what's going on at home,
and
and so they
want to be like, I want to hang out with my kids, but then
they're met with like, well, you need
like,
to do this, you need to do that, you need, if you believe in corporal punishment, now les tienes que dar nalgadas ahora, or les tienes, you need to punish them. And a lot of the times I've seen it from parents. It's like, I wasn't there. What
you don't even know the reason.
I don't even know the reason.
I have to hit the kid, but apparently,
and the kid at that point probably got over it, which is worse. Kids are so forgiving, and they're so
the kid forgot about it, but now he's getting hit by his dad,
who wasn't there, and
now he thinks, why is my dad
doesn't love me?
Dad doesn't love me. He's hitting me.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, definitely I would agree that us as women, we need to also be disciplinarians. We need to also have the authority to say, hey, no, which is why I think I could be a good mom.
See, like my dad
is like advertising. I could be a good mom.
I just don't want people to think that I'm a horrible person just because I made one kid cry.
See, like when we always got disciplined, I got disciplined a lot. I got hit a lot because I was just, I was definitely deserving. I never got beat, okay? I definitely got disciplined. But my dad would always say, first of all, my dad would never discipline us while he was mad. He would always say, go to your room, or, wait till we get home. And at the time, I don't understand this, but looking back, now I understand what was going on.
Right.
He was processing his emotions and what was going on and what he was going to say and all this, because it was never just a straight beating, or it wasn't just straight like him, hitting us. There was always a talk. And right before, he actually would hit us, he would say, I'm only doing this because I love you.
Oh, and I hated hearing that.
Bah, yeah. Yeah. Turn around.
I do this because I love you.
Turn around and boom. And then after he would make us, he would hug us and give us a kiss, and that's it. Yeah. And like, I'm not going to say I was confused. I did understand what was happening. Did it suck? Yes, of course. Was I crying? Yeah. But looking back, like 100%, he was teaching me consequences. And whether, I'm not a lowlife. I'm not like, if I haven't been to prison, like, I think I turned out pretty good. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say that didn't teach me anything, because it 100% did.
Right.
It 100% did. And I'm not saying every parent needs to adopt that type of style, but I definitely, I think there's a right way to go about it and a wrong way, where like if you're mad and you're just beating up your kids and no, that's different.
That's why I think I'm on the fence of corporal punishment, because that's how I was disciplined. I was never disciplined with conversations. It was always done out of anger. I don't mean to incriminate my parents, but that's how it was. And so because of that, like, I know that I tend to react and I tend to get upset with an emotion. And like, I mean, not to be too TMI, but like there's been moments where like early in our marriage, like he would like start to wrestle me, and I'm like, all right, let's wrestle, like let's play around, and I'm gonna try to win, and I can't. Like he's much bigger than me, and I would get mad. I would physically get mad, and I'm like, I need a win. Like I need a win, and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna try to like bite him or something, and then he's like, we can't play like this. Like we can't like like you see red, Kez. Like you see red. Like
she was like trying to bite at me, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, we're not playing this.
Chill. And like when that, and then I started like really paying attention to myself, and I'm like, man, like I don't know that I would expose myself to that, because I would never want to hit my kids out of anger. And so I would rather adopt other ways, but that's just because of my experience. Like even growing up, I wasn't taught good ways on how to handle anger. Like I would lose patience even just brushing my hair, and I would throw the brush, and I just I'd have like a tantrum.
You should have asked them that, like, who out of both of us do you think would get angry first or gets more angry?
Hold on, don't say anything. I mean, I've known him longer, but well, now you just told me that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kez.
Yeah, obviously me.
What about you? Before she said that, would you have said Kez or would you have said Joel? I think I would have probably still said you.
Yeah.
Only because I know that he's
been
like,
very,
I'm the peacekeeper here, okay?
Yeah.
I have to separate her and Stella.
Yeah.
No, I think I would say definitely Kez. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who causes the most? Who do you think causes the most problems?
Because you
The
work with
most
her.
arguments.
Oh yeah. Early on, she learned that. I mean, I don't think I'm a
Toxic?
The thing is, no, like you're like a sweet person.
Like I don't think
Like,
that I
you're
come
not a
off
jerk.
immediately like I'm gonna get pissed off. But
Right.
if I have a relationship with someone and I know that like you're probably not gonna walk away after this interaction, I'll tend to show my real self sooner, and so I think that's when you see my short fuse for certain things.
However, I'll say this. I didn't think you had an anger problem until you actually voiced it, and even then I was like, really? I don't Kez? I don't think so. One day though, we're driving.
You provoke me though.
Okay, there's been two scenarios where I'm like, oh, okay, was that a boundary that I just pushed or what? So the first time that it happened, I had bubble wrap,
Yeah.
and
You
popped it.
I popped it. She made a face of, it wasn't even annoyed. Like she wasn't annoyed. She was angry. She was angry. I had never seen
But
that
you
face.
did it to annoy.
But I did it to annoy her. Yes, I did it to annoy her. But the face she made.
You were being playful though. With
Yes,
it, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Because we do that, and she the way she looked at me, I thought,
Like you were a child and she was just like.
yeah, no, I felt bad. I was like,
You felt like the
"Okay."
kid that you...
And
you
I obviously I laughed, and she ended up laughing, and like it was awkward. I was like,
Did you want to laugh? Or did
It
you
was a
laugh because you
reaction.
realized?
It was a
like,
reaction,
oh,
and then
immediately
she
I was like, what was that? Like,
Yeah.
why did you do that? And I got mad. And then like she had this smile on her face, like what I assume my kids are gonna do. Like
yeah.
I did this, Mom, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be like, let it go, And obviously, like I did, but I reacted.
yeah. And then after that, it just became playful. After that, obviously, I knew it annoyed her, and I knew it
And now
bugged
she
her,
does it.
and now I do it.
Now I'm
but
just like, all
but the
right.
first time I did it was like, oh, should I have
I
not
pushed-
done that?
I literally pushed a-
And then the second time, we're driving. And in my family, we have a thing that whenever we see a purple car, we
Pinch.
pinch each other.
Oh, that's a horrible
okay.
thing.
We pinch each other.
I hate being pinched.
And we are like,
Pinch as a kid.
and we say carro morado, whatever, and we pinch.
Oh, that's the worst.
And with before explaining, no,
She's
I
driving.
explained it to her, and she's like, okay, cool, whatever. But I explained it because I had I was seeing a purple car.
Are you pinching hard though, or are you?
Oh no, she pinched hard.
I pinch her
Ah.
hard, and so I'm like, so yeah, we do that in my family. So carro morado. And I
got
pinched
so
her.
mad.
I would have
And
been mad too.
She was like this. She went like that, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's about to punch me. She's about to hit me.
I was gonna smack you, but
Yeah,
I
she was
didn't.
gonna-
I resisted.
Yeah. So
You showed resilience.
I can already see what you're thinking.
so in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this
Do
is
you normally
another-
pinch people or something, or like?
No,
was
no,
it
no.
just because it's
no,
Kez?
it's just because it's Kez. Again, we.
But had that been anyone else, I would not have reacted. Internally, I would have been like, dude, But because I know she's not gonna walk away from me, it's like easier, you know.
So I think that's what we enjoy about our friendship, is that we're comfortable with showing some reaction, and the other person is comfortable with receiving that reaction and making light of it.
It's almost like you are showing her like, haha, like I know what gets you mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. and then it's funny because she can't do that with me.
I can't annoy her. So far,
she can't annoy me.
Really? Does anything make you mad?
I mean, a lot of things, but she hasn't.
Just have kids.
Just show up with the same kid.
Just ask her to babysit. Ask her to babysit.
Yeah.
No. People, I do like kids. I mean, okay, that's a motherly thing. That's a woman thing.
A female
thing. Even though some eat their young, but I. But I do.
Oh, my goodness.
But I do like them. I want them, But no. But there are very few things that I have a short fuse for. But things like that, no. I don't get annoyed easily.
The whole thing was just to say that I currently don't believe in corporal punishment because
Right.
I am aware of how I react.
She'd get arrested for it.
I just feel like I would try to work with patience, but then again, I don't know.
How do you typically deal with anger though? Like when you're actually upset about something, are you usually
doesn't.
upset about it?
I cry. I think that's my first go-to.
Does it take you longer to
and
get over it, I guess?
I don't think it does, but I do know that there are scenarios when I don't have closure, and I can't talk about it. I tend to hold on to it.
Oh, I think
So
I'm like that too.
I'm the kind of person that I try to. I don't like confrontation because it's tense.
Yeah.
And I'm shy, but I know that without it, I won't be able to sleep. I won't be able to move forward.
Yeah.
So when I can't have that,
It's
I
bad.
tend to hold on.
The war is worse inside of you.
I tend to be like, then I can't be normal.
I'm like that too, yeah.
So that's how I process it.
You just have to voice it though.
I have to just be.
You have to be able to voice it without, I guess, the punching. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't punch things
'Cause
or
I have
things
to-
now in daily life.
No, yeah, I'm not
guys,
saying that.
Joel is not in
He's not in an abusive relationship.
Okay.
That's why she married me,
Joel,
because I was
blink
just
twice.
a big punching bag.
Joel, blink twice if you're in danger, Joel.
For the record,
It's like the little note. It's like, help. Send for help.
the wrestling was one time,
Yeah.
and we've learned a
Haven't
boundary.
wrestled since.
Okay, we're not gonna wrestle. That's just not where we are, But
Where we'll ever be.
I don't use violence, guys.
And by the way, I haven't pinched her ever since. I kept popping the
So we
bubble
both
wrap. but
learned. We both learned our lesson.
You know what's good though? Like Jordan Peterson also says that you need to know how far you can be pushed, and you need to know like what you're capable of, kind of like what you said earlier, because once you know that, and when you know yourself, like you now build like the I guess like a sense of confidence almost. Like I know what I'm capable of, but I also know that I won't go that far, and
that I can control myself.
It's a line of resistance. And I do think that when I have kids, I think it's only going to make me grow, because I do think kids they are observers, so they're going to find out what pushes your buttons, so that I could get what I want. And so I know that even more so when we have children, I'm going to be that much more intentional about that. But then again, I'm hoping that unconditional love goes in, and so hopefully I have more patience.
That's why the other day when Cammie was wanting her chips and I had my hand on it, and I saw she was. I mean, everyone saw. I know, but she was like, "I want chips, and like they were saying like, no, picked up the trash that you dropped. And she was like, I want chips. And
I thought you were going to cave, actually, but you didn't.
No, she was like, and she started pulling harder, and I started seeing like,
see, why the judgment when I talk to that kid then? You're practically doing the same thing.
But I knew what I was doing, and I knew she was going to start crying, and I knew like,
Me too.
I'm not going to give you your chips. As I was pointing to like, everybody was like, pick it up,
pick up the trash,
And I never caved in, and then somebody else came and, picked her up. And after she was crying, because she got all like
defeated.
Defeated, but like after I thought maybe I should have picked her up and took her to pick the trash and still not giving her that, like if there was another way to do it, but at the same time I was thinking like, you're not gonna get the chips from me, like you're not it's not gonna happen no matter how much you cry. I knew you were gonna cry, like I knew it was building up to that, but I wasn't gonna cave in on that, because that's teaching you something. The more you cry, the more you get what you want, and that's at her age. That's important, you know.
Because then she learns the fact that, okay, crying's not the answer. Let me try something else.
Exactly.
Let me actually try to
kids
pick
are
up the
smart.
trash.
Kids are smart.
You only have 5. What is it, Jordan? We keep quoting him, but he says,
He's
I think you only have 5 years
Yes.
to really raise a child to be prepared for being able to deal with the world. Because if in those 5 years you don't give them the tools to be able to be even appealing to other children, you've already set them up for failure.
Mm.
They don't know how to share. They don't know how to be good sports. They don't know how to work in a team. All of those things. Now you have a child who's in kindergarten and can't make friends, and now they're antisocial. They don't build social skills, and that follows through middle school, high school. And so it's like you have 5 years to build a child or raise a child that you like, that you can nurture and teach social skills to prepare them. So it is a huge thing.
And it's very interesting because actually research has shown that a 3-year-old's brain is more active than a person in college. So can you imagine that? That means that this kid is doing synapses in his brain is doing synapses that much quicker than someone that is actually studying or doing whatever. That just means that children, everything they see, they absorb.
Absorbing it.
They're everything,
Sponges.
you know. Yeah, and I think now because we're older, we tend to we tend to take things for granted, like touch, seeing, smells, hearing, all your 5 senses. But that's how kids reach out to the world, and that's how kids process the world. So everything they see, everything they hear, everything they smell, everything they taste, everything they touch, it becomes a part of them. And now as adults, we don't see that, but as kids, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So it's very important to reach them out during those 5 years, because that's all the work you're going to do. After that, you just need to reinforce that work.
I love how we started talking about family and do you want to have kids, and we're ending with like, these are our great parenting tactics when you don't have children.
Kids.
But as we're getting close, because we've already reached our hour, do you guys have any final thoughts, comments?
Can I throw a shout out?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Shout out your parent or what?
No, shout out to UNFC.
His podcast.
Podcast.
Check
Go
out
check it out.
UFC.
Are you guys going to be on?
I don't know.
Yes.
If we get an invitation.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
You guys are definitely invited to that
All
podcast.
right.
Awesome. Alrighty, guys. So, did you want to say something?
Did anybody want to say anything else?
What was you said something? Any last
last words, comments, thoughts?
questions?
Yes, I'd like to clarify something. I like to clarify something. I like children.
We do not condone.
We do not condone child
abuse.
Yes,
Or
no.
marriage.
It just happens.
I've never punched a kid. Okay, let's just put it.
Smacked.
No.
I am not in an abusive relationship.
Yes, she is not in an abusive relationship. I've never.
I was not beat as a kid. I do
Yes,
want to
please.
My parents were amazing.
Jeez.
We're joking. We're just joking.
Send help.
It didn't feel like a joke, but it was a joke.
And another thing, because I think earlier I was very adamant about my 1-year plan. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to. Hey guys, I'm just kidding. I mean, if it happens that way, I'll be glad. But it doesn't have to be that way. Okay.
I'll tell you right now, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna change.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna
No.
change
I agree.
for
I
you.
agree. I think Jacob said it. You need to enjoy yourselves. You need to enjoy. You need to learn how to live with each other.
Bro.
And then, I definitely see the benefit of waiting to have children once you're married, because you are learning to live with this person. You're learning and they are also learning to live with you. So I think that in itself needs time, and it's a process. So yes, I believe in that. So yes, for my husband out there, don't feel pressure. It doesn't have to happen in a year.
Funny. You have to when you are married, you have to show him.
This episode.
Yeah.
This
Who knows?
exact episode.
He might be watching.
There you go.
Subscriber.
There you go.
He's the same.
Any last words?
Yeah, we don't beat kids. I don't know.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.